Hey everybody, welcome back to the Go Spartanburg podcast. This is the podcast that lets you know all about what's going on in Spartanburg. Today I'm at Converse University. I'm with Dr. Susie Lalama. Dr. Lalama is the director of the music program at Converse, and I'm with Dr. Keith Jones, who is director of the Converse Chorale and also the Spartanburg Master Chorale. I'd like to thank both of you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
I've known Dr. Lalama for a few years. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up here in Spartanburg? I know you came from Florida a few years ago.
Absolutely. I came from Florida 9 years ago, which is hard to believe. I've been here 9 years, all here at Converse University. My background is I was a high school band director, and I did that for several years down in Miami, Florida, and I pursued my graduate degrees in music education and ended up here in Spartanburg, South Carolina at Converse. For the first few years, I was a professor of music education, instrumental music education, so teaching and training the future music teachers. And I also conducted the band, and that's how you and I now know each other. And then 2 years ago, I was able to step into the administrative position here at the Petrie School of Music. So I still am a professor in music education, but now I also administer the entire Petrie School of Music.
Okay, Dr. Jones, I know you've been here for a few years. Tell us about your background.
Yeah, I've been here, this is my 24th year, which astounds me. It's going by that fast. I have been in the area a good while. I went to Furman University for my undergraduate years. I've worked at colleges and universities in Iowa, in Sioux City, Iowa, and then in South Carolina at Newberry College, at College of Charleston, and then here. Director of choral activities at all these places.
Okay, so we're here today to talk about some of the upcoming events going on with the music department at Converse. They always put on some great concerts every year. So Susie, why don't you tell us about what's coming up here?
Oh yeah, well first off, before we talk about the immediate, I want to let you know that the Petrie School of Music is always active all semester long. Our terms run fall semester, January semester, and spring semester, and there are constant concerts, I guess you could say, weekly concerts between student recitals, faculty recitals, large ensemble performances, including our wind ensemble, our orchestra, our two chorales. There's always music happening in different ensemble settings, so it's a wonderful place just to have live music and just to really support the arts, support live music. Live music is so important just for our culture and just for our community. So with that in mind, we have a really, really neat experience coming on up that's going to be featuring the Spartanburg Master Chorale, which Dr. Jones conducts, is going to be doing a work by Robert Cohen entitled Alzheimer's Stories. And this, obviously, Alzheimer's is a disease that unfortunately has infected a lot of people, and it's never only about the actual person that is suffering from it, but it's always about family and who are connected to people. We ultimately, no matter what we do in our profession, we are people first. So this piece, and I'm going to let Keith talk about it a little bit more, is going to be able to connect with people about this, not just about the disease, but really how we can kind of come together for the actual folks and for greater society. How can we bring more awareness to this particular disease? So Keith, you want to talk a little more about the piece?
Sure. I learned of this piece in 2019. I was attending the American Choral Directors Association National Conference in Kansas City. Hadn't heard anything about this piece before, and Andre Thomas was conducting an honors, a really good choir there of this piece. They projected the lyrics for the whole piece, about a 35-40 minute oratorio, and I was blown away by it. It was a wonderful combination of head and heart. Aesthetically pleasing piece, but reading the lyrics as they were all projected, it just reached me very deeply. I said, I've got to do this piece at Converse. And so now is the time to do that. Alzheimer's Stories The oratory is divided into three movements. The first one, the numbers, just the progression of the disease when it was first detected in 1901. Currently, we have something like 5.3 million cases, and if unchecked, if no prevention, no cure is found by 2050, between 11 million and 16 million people will be affected by the disease. If you live to be 65 years old, you have a 10% chance of getting it. If you live to be 85 years old, you have a 50% chance of getting it. So it's this big ugly thing lurking in the shadows for all of us that are lucky enough to live long, you know. And so we are partnering with the local chapter of Alzheimer's Association, and they will have a booth set up in Twitchell Lobby distributing some information about the disease and about how their chapter can support people who are dealing with it directly or caregivers that are dealing with it. The composer, Robert Cohen, will also be on campus for a couple of days, meeting with their students, working with student composers, and he'll say something from the stage at the concert too.
Do you know what year the piece was composed?
2009. It was commissioned by the Susquehanna Valley Chorale in Pennsylvania. One of the choral members who went anonymous had lost two parents to Alzheimer's disease and wanted to do something about it, and started a fun GoFundMe kind of campaign. And they raised enough money to commission Bob Cohen to write this piece.
Okay, and is it like a full oratorio with orchestra, chorus, soloist, the whole thing?
Right, it's two soloists, mezzo and baritone. They will be coming from Rachel Calloway, Dr. Rachel Calloway at USC in Columbia is our mezzo, and Dr. Aaron Harp at Wofford will be our baritone soloist. They represent some of the stories in the narrative, case studies. The first movement is about the numbers. The second movement is about the patients, and the actual libretto comes from case studies, and these two soloists sing the words of anonymous patients. And then the third movement is directed at the caregivers. And miraculously, the piece manages to end on a very positive note. Somewhat by accident, members of that choir in Pennsylvania were visiting an Alzheimer's patient somewhere, and one of the members said, well, what would you like us to sing? And the answer was, sing anything. Apparently it doesn't matter, really. Just singing can stimulate memory. And so that was the kernel that generated the third movement, sing anything. Love and music are the last things to go. And it's a beautiful finish to the piece.
Absolutely.
Have you seen the documentary on Glenn Campbell?
No, I've seen excerpts from it, but I've not watched the whole thing.
You know, I saw that on Netflix a few years ago. He managed to perform at the Grammy Awards even while suffering from Alzheimer's, just because it was so ingrained in him.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a long, long sunset in his career. Very sad to see that.
What else is going on with the chorale here?
Converse Chorale just had their fall concert. That group, along with the Spartanburg Master Chorale and the Converse Wind Ensemble, will be participating in Christmas lessons and carols at Converse on Thursday, December 1st. But before that, the Converse Symphony Orchestra has their fall concert this Thursday night, November 10th at 7:30 in Twitchell, featuring the concerto competition winners. But Alzheimer's Stories, I'm really proud to be bringing that to the community. I hope we'll have a great turnout. When I saw the piece in Kansas City, the complete libretto was projected so we could read the numbers. It was a staggering progression of the disease from 1901, how it exponentially grew. And we're going to do that too in Twitchell on a big screen, so people will be able to understand clearly all the lyrics. And the orchestra, it's a small instrumental ensemble: clarinet, 2 horns, 2 trumpets, trombone, tuba, 1 violin, 1 cello, and a gaggle of percussion. The composer is very fond of percussion, and and including piano. Julie Smith is our accompanist for the Spartanburg Master Chorale, and she'll have her hands full playing piano in this production too.
Now, tell us a little bit more about the Master Chorale. That's a community choir, more or less, that's open to community members?
Exactly. Spartanburg Master Chorale has been known by other names, most recently the Spartanburg Festival Chorus, and its original name was the Spartanburg Symphony Chorus. And that's sort of our reason for being, is doing choral masterworks and choral orchestral masterworks. We've done pieces with the local symphony like Handel's Messiah, Carmina Burana, Brahms' Requiem, Mozart Requiem. These are bread and butter, but we also go off the beaten path and do shorter, more contemporary works like Alzheimer's stories. It's open to the public. We rehearse on Tuesday nights from 7 to 9:30, and interested persons should contact me. Just find me on the Converse webpage, and my phone number and email address will be there. I'm happy to say our Facebook page has got a lot of traction this summer, and we have something like 5 new members just since summer, which I'm thrilled about.
About how many people are in that group?
We are just coming out of the COVID cobwebs. We have 44 singing lessons and carols. Pre-COVID, we regularly averaged 50 to 55. I think we're heading back that way.
Okay, yeah, that's a good sized group.
For sure.
That's right. So all of our performances, at least for the large ensembles, are usually on Thursday nights. The 3 that Keith mentioned, the orchestra concert featuring our Young Artist winners, that will be this Thursday, November 10th, in Twitchell Auditorium at 7:30. And then we'll have the Alzheimer's stories with the Spartanburg Master Chorale in Twitchell at 7:30. And then we'll wrap up our fall semester with the Festival of Lessons and Carols in Twitchell on December 1st. Again, 7:30 is our the prelude starts.
So Susie, I know you're the new chair of the music department here, and Converse has a music tradition going back over 100 years. I was involved in music at Converse even as a junior high student back in the 70s in the pre-college music, and I've been involved off and on with the wind ensemble for ever since. Even back then, I played in the wind ensemble in high school, and have continued to play on it off and on for the past 25, 30 years. It's a very fine group. Why don't you tell us about the history of the music program at Converse and what's available to students now?
Absolutely. I mean, you captured some of it. The School of Music has a rich history of making wonderful music performances of great musicians, and historically, actually mostly women in music. Most recently, we have been a co-ed institution as of 2021, but within our School of Music, we've always had men come in either through our ensembles or little pockets and waves, I guess you could say, that the School of Music was the only place that could be co-ed, whereas the rest of the campus wasn't allowed. I know it happened in the 80s. I think it happened again at some point in the 60s. Again, things that predate. I'm like, really, that's fascinating.
I know there was a short time in the 70s when men were allowed, because my friend Marshall Kirby
That's right.
got his degree at Converse.
That's right. I know Marshall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people don't remember, I think, but the graduate program's been co-ed since about 1960.
Yeah, that's.
So,
I think people forget that there is a graduate program, because we do offer graduate degrees in performance and in music education. 2 strands of music ed, just regular music ed, if you've already had a degree in music ed, and we also offer the music education with initial certification. So if somebody had a music degree that was not ed and they wanted to add on that certificate, we can train them for that in the graduate programs. And those have always been co-ed, but because it's a smaller school, I think people just forget, and it happens. But now that it's, I guess all official across the entire campus that we're co-ed, it's obviously our campus is open to everyone and who's looking to or are interested in a career in music and interested in experiences in music. A lot of our ensembles, we still offer, as Keith mentioned with the Spartanburg Master Chorale, sometimes there's still community folks that come on in, and the more music we're able to make with people, I think the better people we're going to be. So there are a few of our ensembles that are still open to the community. There are a few of our ensembles that are still open to non-music majors. So if we've had singers, that they're, biology majors or English majors or whatever they're going to be majoring in, but they still want to participate in music, there are opportunities for all students across campus. Specifically for our majors, our students come from all over the country and even a few international students. We offer a really great selection of music majors here at Converse. We have from music performance, music education, music therapy, music composition, and those are the Bachelor of Music degrees that we have. We also have a Bachelor of Arts in Music degree. So if, more of a liberal arts education with music as an emphasis, that's also a great place for students if they wanted to double major, let's just say, pre-med and music. That's a great track that they can actually do. And then we also have our Bachelor of Musical Arts in Contemporary Music and Media Applications, which that's probably our newest degree that has really gained a lot of momentum and just energy from the community. We can see a lot of students, a lot of interest in that program. We take it not necessarily from a performance lens, but it's more of a creating opportunity. So this is a place where students can now start learning how to create music and write music for video games, film scores, thinking of music that they probably hear and interact with more in the quote-unquote real world, not in the School of Music. And they're able to write and arrange and figure out really how they want to project their music out in the world. And it's really, really cool experience, and I just like seeing the students develop from this program and really just grow from having an idea to all of a sudden this idea coming to fruition and more, and then launching the next idea. So those are our big degrees. We also offer another a music minor. Again, if anybody just wants music in their life, why not? Let's do it. Let's continue performing. It really does nourish the soul.
Yeah, it's good to see that you're addressing something other than music by 200-year-old dead white guys.
That's right.
Because nothing wrong with that music. It's good music, and it's been played for a long time, but it may not necessarily be what people today want to listen to all the time.
That's right. And again, it's important to know where we come from, and it's fantastic music. And I just think there's more music out there for all of us to learn. So if we can think of more people with more music, I think we may be onto something.
About how many students do you have in the music program?
Undergraduate, I believe we're about 100 students. And graduate, it's always hard to count graduates, but it's still a small program. We're a small school in general, but the small school, I think, is really what gives us the power and the strength, and why we've become so mighty in this area and in what we do, because we're able to focus on more individual attention with students and really guide them to their goals.
Are there any particular graduates you can think of that have gone on to really big things in music?
Oh, gosh.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
That was a dumb question. But maybe you could tell us about one or two people that have really gone on to big things.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you from the more recent, and give Keith a moment to think about some of the older alums. The recent alums that I'm thinking of have already, let me see, I'm thinking in some of our recent music therapy students, again, another growing profession. There's not a lot of music therapy degrees or institutions that offer music therapy degrees. And with a lot of our graduates, first, they're all the music therapists. When they're done with their internship and they take their exams, they're board certified. I've learned that almost all of them, if not all of them, have been either placed, they either have their own employment, they've opened up their own business as a music therapist, or they've worked in hospice or a hospital or a school, some kind of music therapy outlet, which to me I think is, again, a wonderful way to help more people out in our society. I know from music education, that's my area, all of our graduates, we actually have a 100% placement rate. Everybody who wants a job will have a job. Part of that is, and we feel good about that because we prepare the students well for those positions. And again, if they want the job, there's a job market out there, and we can't supply them enough. We keep getting calls saying, "Hey, do you have another person to fill this role?" I'm like, all of our students have jobs. I'm sorry.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
it's a great, but it's a problem. But it's a great problem to have. So I know from those areas for sure. We've had even in my 9 years here, I've seen the students, and we're talking all over the country. Depending on whatever their particular goal is, they're making it. They're making it happen. Do you have any others?
Oh, sure.
All-stars in mind?
Yeah, two international students come to mind. Taranga Gunatilaka was an undergrad here in my earliest years. She started here, I think in 2000 or thereabout, and she was a star performer here. Converse is, if Converse has a national reputation, and it does, I think it's largely founded on the performers, the singers that have come through here. And Taranga was a fine singer. She sang our Mimi in a wonderful production of La Boheme around 2003. And she came from Sri Lanka. And our former piano professor, Doug Weeks, it was almost like a chance encounter. And she ended up coming here. And then probably his most famous piano student, who just did a recital here. Wael Farouk, I was getting there. Wael Farouk is from Egypt, and he's now teaching at Manhattan School of Music, and I think still maintaining a studio at Roosevelt University in Chicago, which was his previous full-time job. Wael was recruited by Doug when Doug was on some sort of goodwill tour in the Middle East, and Wael's just a fabulous pianist.
I saw him last summer with the Masterworks
Right.
Orchestra.
That's right.
Yeah, didn't he have to come in and sub to
At the
play
last
a
moment, like
piano concerto just like on
It's a
one
Rachmaninoff,
day's
yep.
notice?
Yes,
48
that's
hours
right.
notice at most. It may be less than that.
That's amazing to have a piano concerto just sitting in the back of your head. So, oh yeah, I can play that tomorrow, no problem.
Yeah.
That's Wael.
He's done marathon performing sessions. I think he's done all 5 Beethoven concertos in the same day. It's just insane what he can do. And I'm happy to say that he was my accompanist for Converse Chorale for 2 years. That was just such a delight to have him to work with. We were able to get a meal together while he was here recently and performed with the CSO. So that's two famous former students here, of many.
And I almost forgot to mention that Dr. Lalama is director of the Spartanburg Youth Symphony. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that organization, how things are going with it.
Oh, yeah. So the Spartanburg Philharmonic Youth Orchestra started 5 years ago. I'm sorry, 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And I was selected as, and really so honored and humbled to be the conductor of this elite orchestra. It's a full orchestra, mostly of students within the Spartanburg area. But in our 4th year, and even coming out of that COVID cobwebs of learning how to play with an ensemble, indoors, outdoors, how do we do this? Currently this year we have in the symphony group, which is grades 8 through 12, I have an 82-member orchestra, full orchestra. Yeah, we fit. And we played, our last concert was on October 23rd. We featured the Saint-Song, the Dance Macabre, which they did stellar. They're so talented, and there's something so, when you hear a lot about, I guess, negative talk about, the younger generation or whatnot, I was like, just hang out with the youth orchestra for a little bit, and you're going to be revived and full of hope again, because these students are dedicated, and they just love learning, and I tell them when they're not there yet, but let's keep working toward it. And they keep their eye on the goal, and they work diligently toward whatever our daily objective is. And to hear the improvement and just the community outreach, the community support that we've had for the youth orchestra has been absolutely just so incredible. All of these school teachers, the orchestra teachers, the band teachers, they've all just embraced this experience for the students, because again, now we're getting more music to more students and this sounds a little bit at a different level, because it acts more like an honor ensemble, since there's X amount from Spartanburg High, X amount, and it's audition based, so we don't know who's going to be coming, but we form an orchestra every year. And I get to work with like I said, the symphony orchestra, which is grades 8 through 12. My colleague, Johanna Wilson, she gets to conduct the prelude orchestra, which is open from 6th grade through 9th grade. So there's a little overlap in the grades, just because sometimes, different abilities and whatnot. But she does a stellar job with those students, and she really does ready them. The prelude orchestra is a string orchestra only, so she doesn't worry with the brass winds and percussion. But she, like I said, she gets those kids going, and awesome to work with, awesome kids. It's just a great experience and a great organization to be part of. And for me, it's a little bit lucky, because we get to rehearse here at Converse. So Converse is my home for Monday through Friday, and also on Sunday afternoons with the youth orchestra. So it's a great time, and it's a great way that we can actually just build and add on to our community. I think Spartanburg in general enjoys the arts. I really do. I think they enjoy not just the live music, but I think they enjoy watching people succeed. And I think both the Spartanburg Youth Orchestra, Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, and the Petrie School of Music, I think we are providing Converse with, we are providing the Spartanburg with so many opportunities to listen to music and to see and feel and become the art. It's undescribable. It's pretty awesome.
You're trying hard though.
I know, it's pretty awesome.
Okay. Does the Youth Symphony have like a Christmas concert or anything?
No, we don't do a holiday concert of any sort. Our next concert is actually in February. I want to say it's February 6th, and we'll feature some of our concerto competition winners. And I know we just had the competition, I think 2 weeks ago. So the winners were just announced, and so you're going to get to hear some very young and super talented students perform these next 2 concerts. So it's going to be good stuff.
Well, that sounds great. Keith, Susie, thank you so much for being with me today. It's great to learn about what's going on at Converse. And tell us, is there a website people can visit to get all the pertinent information?
Yes, absolutely. You can visit us on converse.edu, or you can even just type in there culture.converse, and the first bar will come up with all of our arts calendars, and that's all events for the Petrie School of Music, and you'll even get some of our friends in the theater and dance department and art and design department. You'll get some of their showings as well. But to reach any of us, either our emails are all online, converse.edu. And you can also please like us on social media. I know we have our Petrie School of Music Facebook page and Instagram. So find us, like us, and we'll keep sharing all of our events with you.
Okay, we look forward to hearing it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.